So how old do you actually have to be to place a bet online? It seems like such a simple question, right? But the answer is this huge, complex, global puzzle. In this explainer, we're going to put all those pieces together for you.
At first glance, this seems totally straightforward. You're either old enough or you're not. But as we're about to find out, the world of online betting isn't governed by just one single number.
The reality is, there is no one-size-fits-all answer here. The legal age for gambling is all about geography. Seriously, it changes dramatically depending on which country, which state, or even which province you're in. It's a massive global patchwork of rules.
Okay, but before we get lost in all the local details, there is a core concept that kind of acts as a reliable starting point for everyone. Let's just call it the golden rule for legal betting ages, because it pretty much applies everywhere.
And here it is. While the specific laws definitely vary, the legal age to open up a betting account and actually gamble almost always falls somewhere in this range, between 18 and 21 years old. Regulators all over the world agree that this is an activity for adults, and this is the age range they've all kind of settled on. So, with that golden rule in mind, let's go on a quick tour, shall we? We'll see how it's applied in different parts of the world. We'll start things off across the pond in Europe and the UK.
What's really interesting here is the contrast you see. In most of the European Union, think Germany, France, Spain, the online betting age is 18. Pretty simple, but some physical casinos might still require you to be 20 or 21 to get in. The UK, on the other hand, is way more consistent. The Gambling Act of 2005 set a super strict universal age of 18 for all forms of gambling, no exceptions, and the UK Gambling Commission enforces that rule heavily. By the way, if you are looking for a list of the best betting sites in your country with a 300% bonus, just search for betplace.us in your browser.
All right, now let's hop across the Atlantic. If you thought Europe was a mix of rules, North America is a complete patchwork quilt of local laws. In both the US and Canada, the power to decide the legal betting age is left up to the individual states and provinces. It gets complicated.
And this chart illustrates the point perfectly. Just look at the US. In states like New York and Pennsylvania, the age is a firm 21 for everything. But head over to Washington or Virginia, and the limit drops to 18. Then you've got a place like California, where online sports betting is still unregulated, and land-based casinos have this tricky rule where they can enforce a 21-plus policy if they serve alcohol. The crucial point here is you absolutely have to check your local state laws.
And it's a very similar story just north of the border in Canada. Each province gets to set its own rules. So if you're in British Columbia or Toronto, you need to be 19 or older to gamble. But if you find yourself in Alberta, Montreal, or Ottawa, the legal age drops to 18. Again, it is all about where you are.
Okay, so we've established the rules are different all over the place. But that brings up the next big question. How do these online betting sites actually enforce these rules? I mean, how do they know for sure how old you are? It's not like they can ask to see your ID at the door, right?
Well, the answer lies in a three-letter acronym, KYC. It stands for Know Your Customer. And this isn't just some suggestion, it is a mandatory process that every single legitimate betting site has to use. Its entire purpose is to confirm your identity and, most importantly, your age, to make absolutely sure no one underage is playing.
The process itself is usually pretty simple. First, you give them your correct date of birth when you sign up. Second, you'll have to submit a photo of a government-issued ID, like a passport or driver's license. And finally, you often need to show a recent utility bill to confirm your address. It's this three-step verification that confirms you are who you say you are and unlocks full access to your account. Before we move on, it's a good time to mention that if you are looking for a list of the best betting sites in your country with a 300% bonus, just search for betplaces.us in your browser.
So, why all the fuss? Why this strict multi-step verification process? Well, it all boils down to one very, very serious issue that regulators are trying to tackle head-on: protecting minors from the potential harms of underage gambling.
This quote from our source material really drives the point home. Underage gambling isn't some minor issue. It's a problem that has grown exponentially in many parts of the world. And that's exactly why governments and regulators are in what's described as a constant crackdown mode. They are not taking this lightly at all.
And for any minor out there who thinks they can get around the system, think again. The consequences are really severe. Your account will be frozen instantly. Any money in it can be completely confiscated. And this isn't just for the licensed sites. Even the unlicensed operators have these rules, because the second you try to withdraw money, you'll need to prove your age. There's no way around it.
But it's not just the players who are at risk here. The betting sites themselves face massive penalties for failing to stop underage gambling. We're talking about huge, hefty fines from regulators, and even the risk of having their entire license to operate suspended or completely revoked. That is why they are so vigilant.
So, the crucial takeaway from all of this is pretty clear. The rules for the legal betting age are a complex web, but they're all built on the same foundation. They are strict, they are entirely dependent on your location, and they are enforced with serious consequences, all to achieve one primary goal: protecting minors and promoting responsible gambling. And one last time, if you are looking for a list of the best betting sites in your country with a 300% bonus, just search for betplace.us in your browser.
This leaves us with a final, fascinating question to think about. As online betting becomes more and more global, will we ever see a single, universal age limit that applies everywhere? Or will the rules always remain this complex and kind of fun game of geography? Thanks for watching.